In an age of unprecedented supernatural revelation, it is important that the people of God make decisions in line with His revelation. Increasingly, the cost of failing to hear God will become higher as we draw to the end of days.
I hear some doors being shut, like in political protests.
The voice of the eternal God continues to speak to all who will listen, for the steps of the righteous are ordered, directed by God. In this day and age, the voice of the Lord has been sounded loudly and clearly through His prophets. It is the prudent and wise man who listens to the voice of his prophets and aligns himself to the path that leads to peace and prosperity. Sunday, 7th January 2018.
I hear some doors being shut, like in political protests. Some major churches in the United States are closing their doors, like in what? Political protest. And you shall know that the old is passed away, and the new is come. For in protesting against God's elect one, they do judge themselves blind, not seeing as their God sees.
Important to note is that the prophecy talks of doors being shut. You will notice that the protests were staged against the decision by President Donald Trump to toughen their immigration policy. Protesters were against the doors of the United States being shut against illegal immigrants.
The United States will not be a migrant camp, and it will not be a refugee holding facility.
President Trump defending his zero-tolerance policy on illegal immigration that's caused clashes at the border and in Congress.
This is unconscionable. It is immoral.
Secondly, these protests drew in some churches and church leaders, highlighting the incredible accuracy of this prophecy. The church scene here expresses political protest against President Trump's decision by shutting the doors of a cage, therefore locking up images of Jesus, Joseph, and Mary, therefore directly fulfilling the prophetic word. Thirdly, another section of church leaders that protested are seen getting locked up by police. They fulfill the prophecy, since by their protesting this political decision of President Donald Trump, they end up being shut behind the doors of a prison.
And you shall know that the old is passed away, and the new is come. For in protesting against God's elect one, they do judge themselves blind, not seeing as their God sees.
And so the word of God is fulfilled. When the spirit of prophecy makes his voice clear, it is crucial that we listen to the voice of his oracles. In an ever-increasing measure, the Spirit of God is using His prophets to guide the path of His people, therefore giving them an advantage and establishing the eternal kingdom of heaven.